All right, guys, let's take a look at question number 4. Divide 477.75 into 195. So wrote it up over here, and the first thing I want to talk about is just some different ways of setting up this problem. So I want you to realize that when we write this division problem, we mean 477.75, there's a point there, divided by 195. Okay, so these two are identical. All right. Now I can rewrite this as 47775 over 195. And I'm going to either have to multiply, because I moved this guy 2 decimal places over, I'm either going to multiply by 100 on the top or on the bottom. And where you have to multiply by is not a very difficult question to answer. Recall that 0.75 is really just 75 over 100, right? If this doesn't make sense to you, think intuitively, okay? 75 cents is 75, right, out of $100. Would be 100 cents, right? So this, because the 100 is at the bottom, and I want to write this as a whole number, I would need to put 100 at the bottom, okay? Now you might be asking yourself, a question might emerge, why, Mr. Anderson, why would I want to rewrite it this way? This doesn't necessarily make my life better. How does this make my life better? The numbers are still are actually even bigger, technically speaking, right? Well, you could see that in this problem, that the last digit here is 5, the last digit here is 0, the last digit here is 5. So all these numbers are divisible by 5. So we could divide by 5 and things could start canceling out. We may be able to get to an answer. Okay. The thing is that, yes, they are so big, the numbers are so big, that dividing through by 5 may not actually make this an easier problem. So I'm not actually going to approach it this way. I just wanted you to be aware of that. Sometimes this method would be better than the method I'm about to show you. Okay. So you have to look at problems and you have to decide what method is best. So we're going to backtrack a little bit. So backtracking, we get rid of all this wonderful math. I know, it's a little saddening. How far back? It's not going to let me go all the way back. So I'm going to have to erase this. Being careful, doing my best not to erase the original problem. Boom. Okay. Now, what's the other way of doing this? Well, I can still start off rewriting it as 477.75 divided by 195. Okay. And I do this to try to emphasize something here. Okay. So if you're from America, this is pretty common, but if you're not, I know you divide a different way. Try to bear with me. They're similar ways. What happens here is the number on the bottom is doing the dividing. This is what's called the divisor. It goes on the outside. The number on the top is what's known as the dividend. Sorry. And the way I have always memorized this is that if we read left to right, we're going to end with the dividend. So this number here is called the dividend, and this is where we end with. The number doing the dividing is the divisor. That makes sense. Okay. Another way to know how to put this, and this is kind of childish, but if it works, use it. The number, think of this as the number on top, this guy right here. Think of this guy as the guy, and this guy as the horse. The guy on the horse, or I should say the person on the horse, okay? So if you're riding a horse, when you go to inside your house at the end of the day, and when you go home, do you go inside your house or outside, right? You would go inside your house and the horse would go outside. So though that is childish, it does help you to remember, okay? So if that helps you, use it. If it doesn't, if you use whatever other method helps you to put these in the right place. Okay, how do we go about solving this? Well, what we do when we divide, we say, how many times does 195 go into 4? Well, it doesn't, right? So then we go into the next digits. We say, how many times does 195 go into 47? So we add another digit to it. Again, 195 does not go into 47, so we go to the next digit. So how many times does 195 go into 477? Aha! Well, that does work. And if I think of this, this is pretty close to 2. This is more than 400, but not yet 600. we can see that it goes in, if this is 200, we could say that it goes in 2 times, okay? So you kind of have to estimate, or what's probably the best method of doing this is to estimate. And we see that this is roughly 200, goes into 400 twice, some left over. So that's probably what it's going to be. In fact, that is what it's going to be. So now what we do is we multiply 2 times 195. So it's 195 times 2. I'm going to do that over to this side, make sure we don't make a silly mistake. So 5 times 2 is 10, carry the 1. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 1 is 19, carry the 1. This is going to give me 390. So now I have 390. And I'm going to subtract. Now because I got leftovers, I'm just going to go ahead and go 0.00. 390 is the same thing as 390.00. So that's okay. And we're going to subtract. So when we subtract this, 5 minus 0 is 5. 7 minus 0 is 7. Cool story. 7 minus 0 is still 7. Now I have to cancel. This is going to be 17, and I'm going to have to borrow 1 from here, so this is going to become 3. 17 minus 9 is 8. Okay. Once I get here, I'm actually just going to repeat the initial process over again, only I'm going to use this bottom number. So I ask myself, how many times does 195 go into this value here? I try 8 first, doesn't work. 87 doesn't work. 877 does. So if this is roughly 200, this is 877. 2 times 4 is 8, so that's probably what I need to put here. So I'm going to put a 4, and we're going to multiply again. So 195 times 4. 5 times 4 is 20. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 2 is 38. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So this gives me 780. So this is going to be 780. And then I subtract. All right, same game one more time. All right, I'm going to ask myself, I'm going to subtract this. So 5 minus 0 is 5. 7 minus 0 is 7. I'm going to have to borrow here, so 17. This is 7. 17 minus 8 is 9. Okay, and then I'm going to ask myself, how many times does 195 go into 9.75? Well, I'm going to take a shot here, and I'm going to say, let's say it goes in 5 times. Let's see if that works. I'm going to take a shot at 5. 975 is very close to 1,000. So I could try 4. Again, put 780. I'm going to try just, maybe it'll work. We'll see. I'm not sure. Let's try 5. So I'm going to try 5 here. Actually, let me stick with black. I'm going to try 5. Let me put this as black 5. Okay. Okay. So 5 times 195. 5 times 195. That's 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 9 times 5 is 45. Plus 2 is 47. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 4 is 9. Look at that. Matches up. Matches up. And now when I subtract, I get 0. So the game's over. Okay? So this equals 2.45. So when we divide, this would be called the quotient, which is 2.45. By the way, this is the dividend, and this is the divisor. Okay, and there's our answer. Now, one more thing we could do. I don't want to do this, write this out, but I could multiply this number and this number together. And if they work out, if it gives me 477.75, then I did the problem correctly. And so this is a really nice way to check that you really did get the correct answer. And you know what? I was getting lazy, but let's just multiply these together and just see what we get. I'm going to go ahead and put 2.45 on top. I'm just going to multiply it here. Okay, so let me give myself a little space here. All right, let's just do this. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 2 is 22. Carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 2 is 12. Okay. Now I'm going to work with the 9 here, so I'm going to going down and go to 0. 9 times 5 is 45. I'm going to change this 2 to a 4 because now it's 45. 9 times 4 is 36 plus 4 is 40. Change that to a 4 again. 9 times 2 is 18. 18 plus 4 is 22. Okay, I'm going to go down one more, put 2 zeros. And I love this. The last one's great. It's 1. So it's just going to be 4, 5, 2. So I'm sorry, 5, 4, 2. 5, 4, 2. And then I'm going to add them together. So adding these together, 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. 2 plus 5 is 7. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7. 2 plus 2 is 4, right? Because I have there's two decimal places from the back here, from the right side, the jump 2, I have to jump 2 forward. 1, 2. So this is 477.75. It matches up. Okay? So I did this problem correctly, all right? And one last check. If we look here, it is 2.45. Okay? So something that's really important here, I did take a little extra time on this problem. I did work my way through to check to make sure I did get to the correct answer. And it may seem like, why did you do that? But well, I don't really want to do that. But if we're talking about the final here, and if you don't want you don't want to miss the question because you made some silly mistake. So anything you can do to check to make sure you get the correct answer is something that you should do. So definitely on the final, I would advise you to check your work. Run back through the question. Make sure you did the problem correctly. Okay? All right, guys. Hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you on the next problem.